Okay, let's see, courtroom 1, Ms. Bridgewater. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and we are going to begin with our criminal misdemeanor calendar for today, December 28th, 2024. This is the first appearance for individuals who were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Upon being booked in, their cases have now been formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County. Hence, this would be the defendant's first time to hear of their new accusation number, the charges that have been brought against them, for counsel to be appointed if the defendant cannot afford an attorney, and also to receive a bond. If you're a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. If you are a prosecutor, a criminal defense attorney, or a member of the courthouse staff, please leave your video on, and if you choose to do so, and make sure that you unmute when you have to contribute to the proceeding. If you are a victim or a witness or a family member or a friend supporting a particular defendant, switch off your video and keep it on mute. Switch off your video and keep it on mute. You can switch on your video when you hear the defendant whom you're interested in addressing. All right? Okay. Do we have a Spanish interpreter available at the present time? No? All right. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
Your Honor, can I give you your reset date
Okay.
first?
Please. Thank you, Ms. Bridgewater.
You're quite welcome. It's going to be January the 9th, 2025.
Thank you.
Position number 10.
Your Honor, I'm here, Adriana Chancy. I cannot turn on my camera.
Oh,
There we go.
Got it.
I'm sorry.
That's quite all
It
right.
wouldn't turn on. Thank you.
Okay, and we have Ms. McLeod present as well. That's good. All right.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Who is representing the individual in courtroom 1?
What's his name?
Munoz, Mr. Munoz, I believe.
Munoz Ortiz.
Cruz Munoz, yeah, Munoz Cruz.
Yes, Judge, thank you. I'm happy to speak with him on behalf of my office. So if I can be put in a breakout room.
Okay. Let me see who is hosting today. Is it Mr. Jordan?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Champion, could you place Sarah Armstrong, courtroom 1, and Ms. Chansey in a breakout, please? Ms. Armstrong, you don't represent courtroom 2 at the present time, do you?
I'm not sure if I can speak to that. I'm not sure who's in courtroom 2 right now.
Not at the present time. I do not have her up front. No.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
So Ms. Armstrong, Ms. Chansey, and courtroom 1 in a breakout. And then we will, and Ms. McLeod, have you spoken to whoever you need to address who may be conflicted out?
Yes, Your Honor. I've already spoken with my clients.
All right. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position 10, Mr. Hill.
Thank you. This is the state versus position 10, Rashad Hill, position number 10. His accusation number is 24 CR 8346A, accused of criminal trespass from December 26, 2024. Mr. Hill has 12 cycles, and Mr. Hill, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Wills. Anything else? I understand he's got an open felony case and he's on misdemeanor probation. Anything to add, Ms. Mitchell?
Your Honor, that's not my case.
Oh, who is prosecuting Rashad Hill? Oh, Ms. Sears? Okay, sorry about that. Ms. Sears, go ahead.
No, nothing further to add to the criminal history that you provided. The state's recommendation in this particular case is $2,500 surety bond, that he had no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while released on bond, and that he stay away from the incident location.
All right, Miss Wills?
Your Honor, my client is currently unemployed. He does have a high school diploma. He is a veteran of the Army. Due to his limited finances, I would request a signature bond. I do understand that he has a open pending case, but he does have a residence. He's resided in the state of Georgia, or in the Atlanta area, excuse me, since 2007. He does have the support of his father. And so again, I would request a signature bond.
All right. The bond is set at $1,000. It's a surety bond. He's to stay 200 yards away from the Exotic Smoke Shop at 2740 Greenbrier Parkway. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. I don't know if he's going to have a probation hold from his current trespass conviction. And he's also got an open case in Superior Court. We will see him on January 9th unless he bonds out. Thank you.
We're going with position number 2, Mr. Burley.
This is state versus, I think it's Niam or Niam Burley. Mr. Burley is accused of 1 count of battery under accusation 24 CR 8332G. Mr. Burley, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. McLeod. Is that your client?
It is my client, Your Honor.
Thank you. Your attorney is Ms. Maureen McLeod. I understand Mr. Burley has got 9 cycles. He was recently convicted of a felony charge, and he's on probation, or he's got a probation violation. Did I get that correct, Mr. Howard?
He's on probation for 4 counts of ag assault.
Okay, that's right.
1 count theft by receiving possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. 5 counts.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sears?
Your Honor, there is a request pending to have this matter transferred to the district attorney's office for felony prosecution. The May arrest for aggravated assault, we believe, was against the same victim and also involved strangulation.
With regards to the current charge?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your recommendation for bond?
We're asking for a $10,000 surety bond, no contact with Shantae Davis, and do not return to the incident location at 291 Westmoreland Circle. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Is there a Shantae Davis on Zoom? This will be the time to unmute and start your video. All right, is there anybody who wanted to speak on behalf of Mr. Burley? Because I don't know who everyone else is here for, so. All right, Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't hear the state didn't tell me exactly what the allegations against him are.
The allegation is that the defendant choked, bit, and pinned the victim to the bed with his knees to the point of near unconsciousness. He punched her repeatedly, causing bruising. She had bite marks all over her body and abrasions and scratches to her neck, back, and arms.
Ms. McLeod, did you get a copy of the warrant or the accusation?
I just received it, Your Honor. I
Oh,
did.
I see. Go, all right.
Yes. Yeah, I just want to know what's the nature of their relationship, because I'm not sure what that is.
They don't have a relationship, Your Honor, and that's part of the grave concern about this particular case. They don't have any familial connection. They went out on a date 1 time, and since then, the victim has been the target of the defendant's violent attacks, once in May of this year, and then on the 26th.
Ms. McLeod, what's the state's asking for a $10,000 surety?
Your Honor, my client is not in a position to pay a $10,000 surety bond. So we would ask, I know the court is not going to give him a signature bond, but we would ask for as low a bond as possible, and certainly not $10,000.
All right. Bond is still going to be set at $5,000. It's going to be a surety bond to stay away from 1771 Drew Drive in Atlanta, Georgia.
I apologize for interrupting you. The stay away is 291 Westmoreland Circle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going by the warrant. So it's a different location then?
That's correct.
291 Moreland Circle,
Westmoreland Circle.
Westmoreland Circle, all right? To have no further contact with Shantae Davis, to stay 200 yards away from her, do not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, including electronic and social media contact, and also to have no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. His next court date is January 9th, unless he bonds out. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Position number 4, Cochran.
This is State versus Jeffrey Cochran, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property from December 27th of this year, accusation 24 CR 8335C. Mr. Cochran, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Miss Wills.
It's me, Your Honor.
Oh, it's Miss McLeod. All right, so Miss McLeod. Sorry about that, Miss McLeod. And I understand Mr. Cochran has 14 cycles. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
Last arrest was in March, Clayton County, criminal solicitation, 2017 simple battery PTR, and some theft arrests from 2011, 2012, 2013. That was convictions.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pierce?
Your Honor, the defendant is alleged to have punctured 2 tires belonging to the victim, Mr. Michael Mead. We are asking that the defendant be released on a $1,500 good bond to stay away from the victim totally and completely, and have no further contact.
Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. I would ask a signature bond for my client. My client tells me that he's recently suffered a significant bereavement. He lost his wife, and he told me some mitigating circumstances about what happened between himself and this alleged victim, Your Honor. He tells me that the alleged victim actually stole some of his belongings and some things that had were of material importance to him related to his late wife, Your Honor. So I would ask for signature bond for my client, and he's okay with no further contact.
All right. Where does he currently live?
He lives in Stockbridge, Your Honor.
Okay. Bond is set at a $500 surety. To have no contact with Michael Mead, stay away from Mr. Mead in at least 200 yards away, and do not contact him in any way, form, or manner. And to stay away from the 3819 Jonesboro Road. I'm not sure where this location is, 285 eastbound bridge. Stay away from that entire location. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and next court date is January 9th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We're gonna go with position number 8.
This is Isador Harden. Is this Mr. Harden?
It is, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Harden is accused of one count of simple assault, family violence, and 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Incident date appears to be December 27th of this year, under accusation 24 CR 83408. Mr. Harden, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kelly Wills.
Kelly Wills, Your Honor.
Sorry. He appears to have 27 arrest cycles. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
2020 DUI. As far as violence, 04 simple battery conviction, 03 battery conviction.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Sears?
Your Honor, the defendant is alleged to have grabbed the victim, Michelle Clark, and pinned her against a refrigerator using both his hands and a cane to do so. They share an apartment together for the past month, and while he was pinning her against the refrigerator, he threatened to kill her. He soon after left the apartment, and the victim locked the door behind him because she feared further attack. The defendant broke a window to gain entry and climbed into the home. When police arrived, the defendant was bloodied from the broken window and admitted to breaking the window to regain entry to the residence. We're asking for a $2,500 surety bond stay away from the incident location and no contact with the victim, and that he have one opportunity to visit the location with law enforcement to collect his belongings if he needs to do so.
All right. Ms. Wills?
Your Honor, my client is 70 years old. He is retired. He receives a pension as well as SSI. He does have a high school diploma in some college. He went to technical college. He also served in the military for 3 years. As it was stated, he is the owner of that residence. His name is on the lease. He was allowing the alleged victim to reside there temporarily. And he had every right to break his own window as it is his property and his home and premises. And he states that he lost his key and that's why he went through the window. He does not wish to have any further contact with the alleged victim moving forward, and I am requesting a signature bond.
What? Is Michelle Clark on the Zoom? This will be the time to unmute and start your video. Michelle Clark. I see a Jessica Clark.
That is for a different case, Your Honor.
All right. On the simple assault is going to be 1,000. On the simple battery is going to be 1,500. His total bond is going to be 2,500. So signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. He is to have no further contact with Michelle Clark. He is to stay 200 yards away from Miss Clark. Do not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. And he cannot even speak with her through a third party or even on social media. At the present time, as Miss Clark is also a resident of the property, Mr. Harden cannot return to that location, 755 Delvigny Street, Northwest Atlanta. Just a minute, Mr. Harden, you need to listen very carefully. You may return to the property one time only with a police officer to retrieve your belongings, and then you are to move to another location and update the court with your new address within 30 days from being released on your signature bond. When you go back to the location with the police officer and it appears that Miss Clark has vacated the premises, in other words, there are no signs that Michelle Clark lives at the property, then you may return to the apartment. But if Michelle Clark still lives at the property, you would need to file the appropriate dispossessory action to have her removed from the apartment by court order. You cannot return to the property unless she voluntarily leaves the property or she is removed there by court order through an eviction case. You report to pretrial once a month. If you return to the property without an officer, if you contact Miss Clark without a court permission, or if you get arrested again, you will be back in jail with either no bond or a 2,500 surety bond. All right, please unmute courtroom 2. Mr. Harden, you have been advised of your right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you.
Yes, may I say something?
It's up to you, sir. I've already advised you of your right to remain silent.
I will speak.
Anything else to say?
Yes, that's I rent that by the HUD Vest, by the Veteran Administration rent that apartment for me. I pay
I
$266.
understand, Mr. Harden, I understand that. But since she has been living in the apartment for 30, listen very carefully, for 30 days or more, you have to file an eviction case against her to have her removed unless she leaves the place voluntarily.
She haven't been there no 30 days.
Your Honor, Mr. Harden, I wouldn't advise that you speak. The judge has already issued her order. We did discuss the possibility that you would not be able to return back, and you stated that there were avenues for her to leave your your property. So you need to exercise those different avenues for her to leave, okay?
Yeah, but what I'm supposed to do in the meantime? Okay.
You're supposed to find elsewhere to stay. I think your attorney is ready.
Okay, that's my, okay, I have to go through the VA administration to get her out. I would do that Monday. Yeah, I would do that Monday.
You just have to stay away from the apartment and stay away from her until further order of the court.
Well,
And report pretrial services once a month.
yeah, I'm gonna file eviction notice Monday, Tuesday.
That's
for
up
her.
to you, sir.
Yes.
All right. This case is further notice. Mr. Harden will have to update the court with his new address in writing within 30 days of being released. Thank you,
Alright.
Mr. Harden.
So I'm getting released today.
You're getting released within 24 hours, but you cannot return to the apartment unless you have a police officer. And that first time visit is only to get your personal belongings or to verify that Ms. Clark has vacated the premises. All right, thank you. Courtroom
Yeah.
1, are we ready with Mr. Munoz Cruz? Ms. Chancy, if you don't mind, do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you translate will be the true and accurate translation with no changes and embellishments?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
This is State versus Saul Munoz Cruz under case number 24 CR 008-341J. And Mr. Munoz Cruz is charged with 6 misdemeanor offenses stemming from a traffic incident.
Esta es la fiscalía en contra del señor Muñoz Cruz bajo el caso 24 CR 00834J. El señor Cruz está acusado con 6 delitos menores, comenzando con incidentes de tránsito.
The charges are improper or erratic lane change, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe,
Los cargos son manejar de manera incorrecta y errática al cambiarse de carril, manejar incapacitado por los efectos del alcohol,
endangering a child by DUI under the influence of alcohol,
por poner en peligro la vida de un menor, manejando bajo los efectos del alcohol,
failure to use a child or youth restraint, driving without a valid license,
incumplimiento del uso del cinturón con un menor y manejar sin licencia válida,
and fleeing and attempting to elude a police officer.
y por huir o intentar eludir a un oficial de policía.
This is Mr. Munoz's second arrest. He has a 2023 driving without a valid license.
Este es el segundo arresto del señor Muñoz. Él tiene un arresto del 2023 por manejar sin una licencia válida.
Mr. Munoz, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about your case during this proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you.
Señor, usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio. Todo lo que diga sobre su caso durante este proceso será considerado, sus declaraciones lo serán y se pueden usar en su contra.
You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you.
Usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado y si no puede pagar por uno, se le asignará uno para que lo represente.
Presently, your counsel is Ms. Sarah Armstrong.
En este momento, su abogada es la señorita Sarah Armstrong.
Ms. Mitchell, yes. What is the state's recommendation? And please remember we have a translator.
Señora Mitchell, ¿cuál es la recomendación de la fiscalía? Y por favor recuerde que tenemos un intérprete.
Your Honor, there is a current bond as to all counts, 5,000 per count.
Usted, señoría, hay una fianza actual en todos los cargos que lleva a de $5,000 por cargo.
And the state's gonna ask that that bond remain the same, totaling a $30,000 surety bond.
Y la fiscalía va a solicitar que se mantenga esa misma fianza, dando un total de $30,000 de fianza bajo garantía.
The state's biggest concern here is not only was this a DUI less safe, but a child was in the car and the child was not restrained properly.
La fiscalía tiene la mayor preocupación de que no solamente estaba manejando incapacitado por los efectos del alcohol, pero un menor estaba en el vehículo y el niño no estaba usando el cinturón de manera apropiada.
Defendant's previous driving without a valid license also shows a disregard for that statute. He's going to continue driving without a valid license.
Entonces, el cargo anterior del acusado por manejar sin licencia demuestra la falta de importancia que le da al estatuto. Él va a continuar manejando sin una licencia válida.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nada más, su señoría.
Ms. Armstrong?
Señora
Thank you,
Armstrong.
Judge. We're asking for a total bond no more than $3,000 in this case.
Nosotros estamos pidiendo que la fianza no sea mayor de $3,000 por caso, en este caso.
We would ask Your Honor to consider 500 on each, which would equal 3,000.
Entonces, su señoría, quisiéramos considerar $500 en cada cargo, lo que daría un total de $3,000.
Saul works in construction,
El señor Saúl trabaja en la construcción
and he is the primary financial support for his child.
y él es el principal proveedor financiero para mantener al menor.
And for the court's consideration, it's my understanding that his child was not the child that is alleged to have been in the vehicle.
Y para que su señoría lo considere, entiendo que el menor que estaba en el vehículo alegado no era el hijo del acusado.
And just based on the warrants that are available to me right now,
Y basado en la orden de arresto que tengo disponible,
it appears that Saul did answer the officer's questions and was compliant with the investigation.
pareciera que el señor Saúl contestó las preguntas del oficial y estaba cumpliendo con la investigación.
Nothing further, Judge.
Nada más, su señoría.
Thank you. This is going to be a split bond.
Esta va a ser una fianza dividida.
Count one, improper erratic lane change is 1,000 signature bond through pretrial.
El cargo 1 por cambio inapropiado de carril es $1,000 fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio.
Count two is 2,000 surety. Count three is 1,000 surety.
El cargo 2 es $2,000 de fianza bajo garantía y el cargo 3, $1,000 de fianza bajo garantía.
Count four is 1,000 signature bond for pretrial.
El cargo 4 serían una fianza de $1,000 bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio.
Count five is 1,000 surety.
El cargo 5 es $1,000 de fianza bajo garantía.
And count six is a 2,000 signature bond for pretrial.
Y el cargo número 6 son $2,000 de fianza bajo firma a través de los servicios previos al juicio.
In order to be released, Mr. Munoz has to pay or obtain a $4,000 bond.
Para poder estar en libertad, el señor Muñoz tiene que pagar u obtener $4,000 de fianza.
And the other half is going to be a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level one.
Y la otra mitad de fianza, $4,000 de fianza, será ejecutada, es una fianza bajo firma y será ejecutada bajo los servicios previos al juicio.
No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration.
Está prohibido manejar a no ser que tenga una licencia de conducir válida, tenga su seguro adecuado y una registración apropiada del vehículo.
No alcoholic beverages and no illegal drugs, and he'll be subject to random screens by pretrial services.
queda prohibido las bebidas alcohólicas, las drogas ilegales y usted tendrá que someterse a registros al azar por los miembros de la oficina de trabajo previo al juicio.
And no driving with any child or youth unless the proper child seat or restraint is used.
Y no conducir con ningún menor o joven, a no ser que el niño, el asiento del niño, tenga el cinturón apropiado cuando lo esté usando.
It doesn't matter whether he's his child or not.
Y no importa si es su hijo o no.
His next court date is January 9th.
Su próximo día de comparecencia ante el tribunal es el 9 de enero.
If he gets arrested again or fails to comply or fails a alcohol screen, his signature bond will be revoked.
Si a usted lo arrestan de nuevo o no cumple en presentarse o usted falla con un examen, un análisis de alcohol, su fianza bajo firma será revocada.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
May the interpreter be released, Your Honor?
Oh, yes, Ms. Chansey. Courtroom 2 and ACDC, do either section require a Spanish interpreter?
No, ma'am, not courtroom 2. We're done here.
Francois?
No, Judge. We're good, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Chansey, thank you so much for being on a Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Your Honor.
Happy New Year. Thank you. All right, Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 11, Jackson.
Okay. Spot. Okay. We have Kentavius Jackson, accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the third degree from December 26, 2024. Mr. Jackson, your accusation is 24 CR 83278. I see that he's got 9 arrest cycles and is got a felony probation. Would that be correct, Mr. Howard?
Correct.
Anything else to add?
That's out of Doherty County. Last arrest was out of Minnesota for domestic assault. That was dismissed. Probation violations from 2021, 2 from 2019. I saw 1 out of Union City for something.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation on this case is going to be as to count 1, a $2,000 cash bond, due to this being a possible felony based on the strangulation assessment. We will be requesting that this to be a felony with the DA's office. And then as to count 2, a $500 cash bond, totaling a $2,500 cash bond, no further contact with the victim, Deasia Laster. Stay away from the incident location, 5100 Welcome All Road, Atlanta, Georgia. 1-day anger management, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Again, Your Honor, based on what happened in this case, it was disturbing. The victim, she was actually using the bathroom, just got back from Christmas to her residence. It was using the bathroom when defendant was upset, broke into the bathroom door by unlocking it. And that's when he started spitting on her, and slapped her while she was on the toilet. As she tried to escape, he grabbed her by the neck and threw her on the floor. And he restrained her on the floor. And it wasn't until he released her was she able to get away and call 911. Their child, KJ, was witness to this entire incident. And so based on that, and he has a previous arrest for domestic violence. Based on that, we are requesting the $2,500 cash bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Deasia Laster or anyone? I do see a Deasia present. If you want to contribute to the proceeding, you would need to unmute and start your video. All right, Ms. Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would oppose a cash bond in this case. His case is currently charged as a misdemeanor, regardless of what the state intends to do. Currently, it's a misdemeanor case. I do think a cash bond would be inappropriate. I also would oppose anger management at this juncture in the case, as these are just allegations. Also, my client is currently unemployed. He does qualify for our services. He is a native of Atlanta, and does have a GED. He also has 3 children, as well. He does not have anywhere else to go, as he did share residence with the alleged victim, but we did speak about the possibility of a no contact order, and so I would request a one-time escort for him to return to the premises upon his release. I further would request a signature bond, as my client does have that pending hold out of Dougherty County, as it was stated, and so he won't be released even with a bond at this time. So that would be my request of the court.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Laster has still not contributed, so I'm going to move on. On the battery family violence, that's going to be a $3,500 surety bond. On the cruelty charge, it's going to be a $1,500 surety bond. It's a total of a $5,000 surety. Next court date is going to be January 9th, 2025. And if Mr. Jackson does make bond, he'll be only released to the Union City hold. No further contact with Deasia Laster to stay away from, I guess the location is 5100 Welcome All Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No contact with the children that he shares with Miss Laster. If he wishes to have any kind of joint visitation or joint custody with the minor children that he shares with Miss Laster, he would need to file the appropriate legitimation action and obtain a court order to establish visitation and custody. Mr. Jackson, please be mindful that you have to stay 200 yards away from Miss Laster and the children, as well as the location, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no firearms. The warrant indicates that you own or may own firearms. If you own any firearms, you have to surrender all guns to the police within 7 days of being released, and they must have proof of that the weapons have been destroyed. Thank you.
Your Honor, I do believe his hold was Dougherty County, not Union City. I just want to make sure that's...
I thought it was Union City.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to
I'll check. Let me check real quick. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Who was this again?
This is
Kentavius
Jackson.
Jackson.
Is Union City is in Fulton County, so
Correct.
I've got a Union City police hold according to this, but y'all can clarify.
No, that's what the booking says. Union City.
Ms. Will, do you see it?
Yes, I thought I heard Dougherty County, but I may just
He's on probation out of Dougherty for the
okay.
felony stuff.
Understood. Okay. My apologies.
No problem. Thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 20, Ms. Tarver.
This is Melissa Tarver, accused of theft by shoplifting from December 27, 2024. Accusation 24 CR 8344Y. Ms. Tarver, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Ms. Armstrong, and I understand this is Ms. Tarver's 8th arrest cycle. Couple of FTAs and probation violations. Any shoplifting convictions on her record?
Not that I recall. I saw a theft by taken from 2012 conviction.
Okay. Ms. Mitchell, what's the recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, there's a current bond of $2,500 surety on the case, and the state's going to request that that bond remain the same. Stay away from the incident location. The Texaco gas station located on 2067 DeLowe, spelled DELOWE, Drive. And no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Armstrong, I'm going to issue a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1, to stay 200 yards away from the Texaco gas station, and she to report to pretrial once a month. If she's seen anywhere near the Texaco gas station on DeLowe Drive, or she gets arrested again for anything else, that $2,000 signature bond will disappear and convert to a surety or good bond.
Yes, Judge.
Next,
Appreciate your consideration. Sorry, as for talking over you. Yeah.
no problem. I just want her to make sure that she provides us with a valid mailing address within 30 days of being released.
Yes,
Next.
Judge, thank you.
Position 6, Dennis.
This is Edward Dennis, accused of misdemeanor possession of marijuana, willful obstruction of an officer, and public drunk from December 26th of this year, 24 CR 8338B. Mr. Dennis, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. Wills. And I've got a 3 cycles with a open probation case. Does he have any open felony cases?
Just on probation for the ag assault and robbery.
Okay.
2024 shoplifting Nolo and says resident of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right, thank you. Ms. Sears, any recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. The recommendation on bond is $1,500. I'm sorry, $1,000 surety bond on each count. Stay away from the incident location and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
And Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client, although his address is listed as Philadelphia, he has resided in Georgia since 2022, and he has struggled with secure housing since that time. He's been transient. He currently resides in a shelter. He is also unemployed. He moved down here as he has a child, a 3-year-old child, who resides here but does not live with him. My client also is a veteran of the Army. He served 11 years honorably. He does deny the allegations. He states that the same officer has been harassing him. This is the second time the same officer has approached him and harassed him, but he does vehemently deny all the allegations. And so I would request a signature bond in light of all of that, those facts.
On the possession of marijuana, that's a 500 signature bond through the jail. On the willful obstruction, that's a 500 signature bond through the jail. And on the public drunk, it's going to be a $500 surety bond. His total bond is going to be $1,500 split bond. And his next court date is January 9th. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Position number 19, Mr. Phillips.
This is State versus Leon Phillips, accused of criminal trespass from December 25th, 2024, case 24 CR 8342F. Mr. Phillips, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Armstrong. This is his 71st arrest cycle. Ms. Sears, what's your recommendation?
This is not my case.
Your Honor, it's my
Oh,
case.
sorry, Ms. Mitchell, yes.
Yes, the state's recommendation is going to be $2,000 surety bond, stay away from the incident location, the Valero gas station located on 1980 DeLowe, spelled DELOWE, Drive Southwest, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Your Honor, this bond is primarily due to his history, and yeah, nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Armstrong? Was it Ms. Armstrong? I'm sorry.
I forgot to unmute.
That's
I've
all
only been doing this. I'm sorry. I would just ask the court to consider a signature bond just due to the fact that Mr. Phillips is homeless. Nothing further.
It's a $500 surety bond. Next court date is January 9th. And stay away from the Valero gas station. Thank you. I'm sorry, courtroom 2, please unmute.
There you go, ask a question.
Well,
Mr. Phillips, your bond is 500, surety bond. Stay away from the Valero gas station.
so I won't get a signature bond.
You don't qualify, sir.
Alright,
Thank you.
ACDC can go next.
we will.
Good afternoon, Judge. The females here, ACDC can, you can read that, right?
Certainly. Good afternoon. My name is Judge Law. This is an announcement for the 3 individuals at Fulton County ACDC. This is your first appearance calendar with regards to the misdemeanor charges brought against you. Your cases have already been formally accused by the Fulton County Solicitor General. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say in open court during this virtual, recorded, and live streamed proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Who do we have first, Deputy Francois?
This is gonna be position 13 and 14, Dakota Keaty.
Okay. Ms. Champion, if you can just stop the video for this Mr. Gerell, he can start his video when he's ready to address the case. 13 and 14. All right. Dakota Kiddie, Kiddie, has 2 separate cases before the court. 24 CR 8331G, criminal trespass on December 25th, 2024, and 24 CR 8333G, theft by shoplifting from December 26, 2024. And Ms. Kitty, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Armstrong. Ms. Mitchell, what's the recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. As to the criminal trespass, the state's recommendation is going to be $1,000 surety bond, stay away from incident location, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. And as to the theft by shoplifting, the state's recommendation is the same, $1,000 surety bond, stay away from incident location, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. She is a multi-state offender, and so we do have concerns there. And yeah, that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right. And I do apologize. Ms. Kitty does have 6.
Hey, hold on, Judge. Let me I need to check on that 24 SC case.
Okay, but is it correct she has 6 arrest cycles so far?
I think so. Hold on, real quick. Let's see something. That's correct. I don't know where they got the 24 SC case from. Disregard that. Let me look up something.
Anything else to add for Ms. Kitty's arrest cycle?
No.
All right, thank you. Ms. Armstrong?
Your Honor, we would just ask that you consider a signature bond no more than 500 in both cases. That's just due to her age, and also strike that. She works in the food industry. She does live with family in Atlanta. She has a stable address. And if Your Honor is inclined to do a pretrial level 1 or 2, we would welcome that opportunity.
All right. I see that she was booked into Fulton County on November 2nd for theft by shoplifting, but it was subsequently dismissed, and she's got a hold. I'm not sure where that hold is presently.
It's out of Virginia, according to the GCIC.
Okay, thank you. On the criminal trespass is a $500 surety. On the theft by shoplifting is a $500 surety. The total bond is going to be $1,000 surety to stay away from the incident locations. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Within 30 days of being released, she must make sure that we have her current mailing address. Unfortunately, I see that you've got Virginia, I've got a Cobb County hold.
All right, hold on.
Your Honor, real
She
quick,
has 2 holds, so let me see.
just for clarification, it was 500 surety for the criminal trespass?
Yes,
And-
500 on each count.
Okay.
By shoplifting, but she's either got a Cobb County hold
She got
or,
both. She has both.
oh,
But
okay,
I do see the Cobb County. It's a FTA for larceny.
all right.
Yes.
So this is going to be $1,000 surety bond, stay away from the incident locations. And this will be a release to the Cobb County hold or her other hold in the state of Virginia, whoever picks her up first. Thank you.
Position number 21, Usher.
This is State versus Jakia Usher, accused of battery family violence from December 26th of this year, accusation 24 CR 8345J. Ms. Usher, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Armstrong. I see that this is a first arrest. What's the recommendation, Ms. Mitchell?
Your Honor, it's going to be a 3,000 surety bond with no further contact with the victim, Kentavius, spelled Dontavious, Holt. Stay away from the incident location 4071 Danforth Road, Southwest, South Fulton. And no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. As Your Honor is aware, the defendant was in a dispute with the victim's sister, and he ended up getting in between their dispute, at which point the defendant attacked him, leaving him with cuts and bruises under his right eye and lower right portion of his face. After being struck by the defendant multiple times. I'm sorry. And so based on that, the alleged facts, we are requesting a $3,000 surety bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
No. Mr. Kentavius Holt, if you are wanting to contribute to this proceeding, this is the time to unmute and start your video, or if anyone is here for this defendant. All right, Ms. Armstrong?
Thank you, Judge. We're asking that the court consider a signature bond in this matter through pretrial. Again, this is her first arrest. I do want to note that it's my understanding that she is the primary financial provider for her daughter that she shares with the state's alleged victim. She lives with, it's my understanding that Ms. Usher lives with the alleged victim and his family and their daughter. I do have an address that I can provide the court off record of another place that she could go that is in the Metro Atlanta area. So all those things considered, we would just ask that you grant a signature bond in this matter.
If you could put that address directly to Ms. Bridgewater in the chat.
Yes.
And also,
I want to apologize to ACDC. Some of my notes did not save in a document I was working on. So if it would be possible for ACDC to chat that to Ms. Bridgewater, is that okay with the court? Since
could you put Ms. Usher's new address, mailing address, in the chat to either to Ms. Bridgewater? The two people who need to get the address is Mr. Tucson Howard and Ms. Holly Bridgewater.
Make that Ms. Champion, Your Honor.
Oh, Ms. Champion. All right. So send that to Ms. April Champion, and she.
I don't need it, Judge.
All right. In that case, then just chat it to FC State Court April Champion. That's the place that we need her current mailing address.
I apologize for the inconvenience. I don't know my notes, but I appreciate everyone's help. I do.
Okay. On the battery family violence with regards to Jakia Usher, her bond is set at $2,500. It is a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. She's report to pretrial once a month and to provide us with her current mailing address. And if she changes her address, she needs to make sure that she updates it in writing with the clerk's office. She's to have no contact with Kentavius Holt and no contact with Shalisa Holt. If Mr. Kentavius Holt wishes to have contact with any child or children that he shares with Ms. Usher, he needs to file a legitimation action and obtain a court order to establish visitation and custody. Otherwise, she's to stay 200 yards away from 4071 Danforth Road in Southwest Atlanta, stay 200 yards away from Shalisa Holt and Dontavius Holt. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And while she's reporting to pretrial services once a month, she will attend and complete 2 anger awareness classes. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and firearms. Deputy Francois, did she have a question? Ms. Usher? She needs to speak up. Nobody can hear her. Nobody can hear you.
Wow. It was a self-defense for my hair. She's good, Judge. She's good. So you want me to send this message off the address to also Armstrong as well?
Yeah, if you want to send it to Miss Armstrong but especially to Miss Champion, that would be important.
Okay. Quick question, Judge. Going back to position 13 and 14, that was $1,000 good bond?
Right, 500 on the criminal trespass and 500 on the shoplifting.
Okay.
And released only to her current holds.
Okay. Next, Judge, we have position 17, Milton.
Is this Brooke Milton?
Yes, it is, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Milton is accused of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer from December 25th, 2024, case number 24CR8339F. Ms. Milton, you've been advised of your rights. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Maureen McLeod.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Mitchell, she's got 8 cycles with a Henry County hold. Anything to add?
No, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is going to be a $3,000 signature bond and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Nothing further.
Okay. Ms. McLeod is going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail with a release to the Henry County hold. Ms. Milton.
That is fine, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Milton, this is a current open pending case in Fulton County. You'll be released on a signature bond to address your other matters in Henry County.
Yes,
Once you are released from Henry County, please make sure that we have a good mailing address on you, because if you don't show up to court in Fulton County when summoned, you will be arrested again for failure to appear.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Your Honor. And that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes. Have a good weekend, Ms. McLeod. See you.
You too, Your Honor. Thank you.
Position number 5, Mr. Kofer.
This is Daryl Kofer, accused of criminal trespass from December 25th, 2024. Mr. Kofer's accusation is 24CR8311C. Mr. Kofer, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Ms. Wills. Understand this is his also 71st arrest cycle. Anything to add, Ms. Sears?
Your Honor, as the court is aware, this case was reset from yesterday. These events took place on December 25th of 2024, where he entered into the premises of Afro Cafe after it was closed without the consent of any authorized person or owner. The state's recommendation for bond is $2,500 signature bond through pretrial, that he stay away from the incident location and that he have no drugs, alcohols, or weapons while he's on bond.
I have no objection.
Do we have a good address on him?
Mr. Kofer is actually currently homeless.
All right.
But he states that he is fine with being released. He also does suffer from cancer as well.
Do we have any FTAs in the last 4 years with regards to Mr. Kofer, Mr. Howard?
Not that I can see, but this history is extensive. Seems like he may be back for bond surrender.
No.
I see the open 20 for PI for shoplifting and the probation. That's it.
It's going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Mr. Kofer, you are to stay away from the restaurant in question. If you return to that location, you will be arrested again. And next time your signature bond will be converted to either a cash bond or a surety bond. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Position number 7, Mr. Gerell.
I think there was someone here who wanted to appear for Mr. Gerell. Ms. Champion, you can go ahead and prompt him to start his video, or a couple of people.
This is his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good afternoon, Judge, and to the court. I just wanted to speak on behalf of my son, who's a vet.
Let's see what's going on right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Xavior Gerell is accused of battery, family violence, and cruelty in the 3rd degree from November 27th, 2024. His accusation number is 24 CR 8328C. Mr. Gerell, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is presently Ms. Callie Wills. Understand this is his first arrest. Ms. Sears, what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, the recommendation is a $2,000 signature bond, no violent contact with the victim. I understand that Mr. Gerell lived at the residence at the time that this incident took place. I'm not certain as to whether or not he still resides there or has any belongings there, but should he return there, of course, he's to have no violent contact with the victim and go one time to collect his belongings with law enforcement. And we would ask that he start on domestic violence intervention classes while he is on bond.
Ms. Mimi Gerell, if you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, what would you like to tell us?
Oh, no, I just wanted to again speak on behalf of my son, who is a veteran of the Navy. He also is currently due to graduate with his bachelor's degree in May. He holds down a job and also, takes care of his, concerns, his business. He does have a stable residence with me. So just wanted to share that with the court.
Are you the alleged victim in this case?
No, I'm his mother. No, no, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Gerell, did you want to contribute to the proceeding? You would need to unmute. The gentleman in the red checked shirt. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Did you have something to add? You would need to unmute.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Judge, can you hear me?
Yes, raise your right hand.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Raise your right hand.
Okay. I don't know what's going on.
Take your headphones off and use your laptop, speaker, and microphone. Raise your right hand.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to tell the court?
I just like to say that, can you still hear me? I'm having problems with my laptop.
I can hear you.
I'll just like, okay, I'd just like to say that, yes, he does have a stable home, and this person that he is involved with has threatened him
I'm not
with violence.
No, I'm not interested in hearing about the victim. You have any questions about
Uh-huh.
his ability to return to court or his ability to not defend?
Oh, well, his ability to return to court is, yes, he will do that. I'll make certain that he does that and keep up whatever he needs to do with the court. That I'm sure that, like I said, like my wife stated, that he is about to graduate back in May. He does have a stable job, and I'll do all what I can to stand behind him at 100%.
Okay,
You
that's
know.
good enough. Thank you, ma'am. Sir,
Okay.
you mute your
You're welcome.
screen. All right. For some reason, I'm having a problem opening up the accusations. What was the name of the victim? I've got an LC, but I don't have the name of the other. Miss Sears?
Her name is Jessica Clark,
Okay.
and the minor child in this case is Elsie.
Yeah, I see her now. Jessica Clark. Where is she? All right, Miss Clark. Did you have something to add to the proceedings?
Hello?
Do you have something to add to the proceedings?
Not really. I don't think he a bad guy. He just need anger management issues.
If you don't have anything, then why do you keep talking?
Oh,
Miss Clark, did you have something to add to the proceedings?
no.
Okay, then mute your screen.
How?
We'll help you. Thank you, Miss Champion. Miss Wills, anything else to add?
We have no objection to the signature bond. I believe it was proposed in anger management or some type of course. I would oppose that if that was one of the proposed conditions, since this is his first arrest. He is 28. As his mother stated, he is a veteran of the Navy, and he is duly employed.
Okay. Miss Wills, is the minor LC his child?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. And as it was stated, he does not reside with the victim and did not at that time.
Okay, because I'm curious to know why it's family violence. So that's the part that's throwing me off on this matter.
At the time of the incident, on the incident date, they had lived together for a year.
I see. Okay, thank you. And I'm so sorry. For some reason, I can virtually not open a single document in this particular case. Okay, on the cruelty matter, that's going to be 1,000. On the battery family violence, that's going to be 2,500. This is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial services, and that's going to be a level 1. No violent contact with Jessica Clark. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. Mr. Gerell, you will attend and complete 8 weeks of anger management classes, and you will begin those classes within 45 days of being released. And when you've completed all 8 classes, you will show your certificate of completion to the Fulton County pretrial services. You report to pretrial once a month. And if you get arrested again for anything else, if you violate any of the conditions, or if you don't report to court or to pretrial when summoned, your signature bond will be voided and converted to either a signature bond, a surety bond, or a cash bond. Thank you. All right, everyone involved in the Gerell case, you are free to go. Next case, please.
Number 3, Mr. Bynum.
This is State versus Charlton. Bynum, accused of simple battery family violence from December 25th, 2024. Mr. Bynum, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Wills. I see there are 17 cycles. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
2022 simple battery DV conviction. 2019 18 17 probation. 2017 FTA. 2016 simple battery DV conviction. 2015 FTA. That's all.
All right. Ms. Hughes?
Yes, Your Honor. The alleged facts in this case include that the victim, Jalecia Smith, who has 3 children with the accused, was pinned to a bed and choked and could not breathe while the defendant restrained her. When he released her from the bed, the children who were in the home at the time witnessed the defendant strike Ms. Smith in the face. We are asking that the court impose a $2,500 surety bond and that he have no further contact with Jalecia Smith, that there be third-party transfer of the children that they share together, and that he stay away from the incident location at 240 Pine Bridge Trail, Johns Creek, Georgia.
All right. Is there a Jalecia Smith on Zoom who'd like to contribute? I don't see anybody else. Okay. Ms. Champion, you can remove Mr. Gerell from the Zoom. All right. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is a native of Georgia. As was stated, the alleged victim is they share 3 children together, do reside together. Mr. Bynum is currently unemployed, but he does vehemently deny the allegations, and he has been incarcerated since Christmas Day. I would ask that if there is a no contact provision, that he be allowed a one-time police escort to gather his belongings. And I would request a signature bond in this case.
Okay. On the simple battery family violence, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. He is to have no further contact with Jalecia Smith, Jalicia Smith, and no further contact with the 3 children that he shares with Ms. Smith. Or no contact with the biological children that he shares with Ms. Smith. If he plans to have any kind of visitation or custody with the children, he needs to file a legitimation action and get a court order to establish visitation and custody. He's to stay away from 240 Pine Bridge Trail in Johns Creek, Georgia. He's allowed a one-time visit with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings. Within 30 days of being released from the jail, he will update the court with his new mailing address, which cannot be the Pine Bridge Trail location. He must stay 200 yards away from the location and from Ms. Smith and the children. And within 45 days of being released, he will enroll and complete a domestic violence intervention program. This is a 26-week program. And he needs to attend all 26 weekly classes with no skipping, and each class must be paid for by Mr. Bynum. Next court date will be sent to his new mailing address. Thank you.
Position number 12, Mr. Johnson.
Johnson's case is 24 CR 8329F. This is State versus Leon Johnson, who's accused of driving, fleeing, and attempting to elude a police officer from December 21st, 2024. Understand, Mr. Johnson, you've been advised of your rights to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Wills. This is Mr. Johnson's 32nd arrest cycle, 32 cycles, I believe. Okay. Anything else to add, Mr. Howard?
The open case in Superior Court is 24 SC 006242. Reckless stunt driving, fleeing an officer during the commission of certain crimes.
Thank you. That's good.
Okay.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is going to be $1,000 cash bond and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, primarily due to the fact that he has a current open case with a felony fleeing. In addition to the reckless stunt, as Mr. Howard stated, his cycle also shows that he is a high risk of reoffending based on the cycle and his other history of fleeing. And so we do have concerns of him also being a flight risk. So that is why we are requesting the cash bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Miss Wills?
Yes, Your Honor. I wouldn't state that his history has anything to do with his flight risk. He is a native of Atlanta. He is currently employed by Andrews Janitory Turnkey Service, where he's a janitor. He's been employed there since 2021. He does have 4 children that he does support, and so I would request a signature bond in this case. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask for a surety bond.
Bond is set at $6,000. It is a surety bond. No driving without a valid license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. And maintain a current address. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And he has to report to court when summoned. Thank you.
Number 15, Mr. Leonard.
15. Oh, and with regards to Mr. Johnson, his next court date is January 9th. And Mr. DeAndre Leonard is accused of terroristic threats and acts, willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and giving false information to a law enforcement officer. This is accusation 24 CR 8336C. Mr. Leonard has got 16 arrest cycles. Anything else to add, Mr. Howard?
2023 probation, 2023 Cruz seeing the first. It appears to be opened out of DeKalb County. 2022 petty theft conviction. This is out of Florida. 2022 grand theft, felony fleeing, suspended license, contributing to delinquency of a minor conviction. 2022-2020 probation. 2019 reckless conduct obstruction conviction. 2018 FTA. 2010 simple battery DV conviction.
Does he have a Florida hold?
I think I saw it on the GCIC.
Yes, he does have a hold out of Florida.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mitchell, anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation is going to be 5,000, as to count 1, a $5,000 surety bond, count 2, $1,000 surety bond, count 3, $1,000 surety bond, totaling a $7,000 surety bond, 1 day AA, and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. In this case, he was threatening to kill an officer, Officer A.V. Hayes, multiple times. It was also witnessed and heard by another officer. In addition to that, he refused to comply with the officer's demands and told them gave them a false name when asked for his identification, and he told them that his name was Trevon Miles. And so based on that fact and his history, he does have other violent offenses in his history. The conviction, as we heard Mr. Howard said for the simple battery, and there are concerns of him being a flight risk due to his FTAs in his history. So with that being said, we are requesting the surety bond. Nothing further, Your Honor.
The bond's going to be $1,000 on each count. That's a $3,000 surety bond and a release to the, I think it was Bay County, Florida hold only. So he would have to be extradited for that matter. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no violent contact with any member of the law enforcement community. Thank you.
Your Honor, if I could make just a brief argument.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Ms. Wills, I thought you already made one. My brain is going on a different track. Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Leonard is a native of Georgia. He is married. He is the owner of Atlanta Bama's Kitchen. He has owned that restaurant since 2002. He is a high school graduate. He does have 2 children that he shares with his wife. And again, he does have that hold in Florida, so he won't be released for quite some time, would be my estimation. So I would request a signature bond in light of that.
Well, I've already read the warrants and given his 16 cycles and his multiple probation violations in his history, he doesn't qualify for a signature bond. That's why I was already predetermined to give him a surety bond, but I'm keeping it at $1,000 on each count. However, unless he waives extradition or he has an extradition hearing, he cannot be released unless Florida lifts the hold.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next case, please.
Position number 16, Mr. Middleton.
Ty Middleton is accused of battery, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property. Case number 24CR8337D. Mr. Middleton, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is Ms. Armstrong. I understand this is his first arrest. Ms. Mitchell, what's the recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation as to count 1 is going to be a $3,000 surety bond. As to count 2 is going to be a $1,000 surety bond, totaling a $4,000 surety bond. No further contact with the victim, Brianna, spelled Bryanna, Van Winkle, spelled VanWinkle. Stay away from the incident location, located at 313 Skipper Place, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia. 1 day AA and no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. We understand that this is defendant's first arrest, but the allegations are very serious in this case. This is another case that we are recommending up to the DA's office based on the strangulation assessment. So he battered the victim in this case by choking and throwing her, and she had visible markings. And so due to that fact, we are recommending the surety bond in this case. Nothing further.
Mr. Middleton, I'll give you an opportunity to speak, but I want you to mull about your right to remain silent. Anything you say, your statements can and will be used against you. Ms. Armstrong, anything to add?
Yes, Judge, we're asking Your Honor to consider a pretrial release bond in this matter, no more than $2,500 signature. Mr. Middleton is the sole financial support for his family. He does have a daughter. She's 7 months old, and he pays the rent for the apartment in which he lives. We would just ask for no further violent conduct. I understand the state's position, but again, I just have to reiterate that these are allegations. I also want to note that Mr. Middleton is a high school graduate with a master's degree. He works full time. He is a manager at multiple locations. Just to be off the record, I don't want to go into detail about his work, but just want Your Honor to have confidence in the fact that he is gainfully employed. He is educated. He has a family. He supports them, and also given his lack of criminal history, we renew our request for a signature bond through pretrial.
Okay. Is there a Brianna Van Winkle? I don't see anyone else. Okay. I noticed that the original charge was simple assault, family violence, but then was upgraded to battery, family violence, and then of course the criminal trespass causing damage to property. Courtroom 2, please unmute. Mr. Middleton, did you want to contribute to the proceedings?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I would like to state by saying that I am by no means a violent individual, so I don't know where the initial charges came from. Mind you, I understand that my unwillingness to communicate with the officers at that moment, excuse me, could have contributed to that. But the reason being that, because I was actually during the incident, I was tending to my daughter. It was literally 3 in the morning, and officers kept trying to get me to hand her outside to them. And I'm like, I had no problem with my child's mother actually coming inside, dressing our daughter, and then taking her. There was literally never an incident. There is a history of said calls. This is the 5th or 6th call, that my child's mother has made, being under distress or planning to be in danger or something like that.
Your Honor, the state's going to object to that testimony. This is not about the victim.
It's right to say whatever he
Words.
wants, keeping in mind that anything he says can be very self-incriminating. So, but it's his view.
And literally nothing has ever come of any of the calls before then. She has continued to stay with me, knowing that I am our sole provider, knowing that I am the sole provider. I take care of our family. I tend to our daughter exceptionally well. I am, like Ms. Armstrong said, gainfully employed. I would like to believe a pillar of my community. Anybody who knows me will tell you the exact same thing. I am a very jovial individual. No one has ever felt the need to accuse me of being a violent or aggressive individual.
Mr. Middleton, I'm going to stop you right now. This is your first arrest according to our criminal history records. So maybe you are unfamiliar with the context of a first appearance. But the reason why you have an attorney is that you can share information with your attorney and you can exercise your right to remain silent because this is a criminal case. You have absolutely no burden to prove anything in this case. That is completely the prosecutor's job. And the reason you have the constitutional right to remain silent is that you do not have to incriminate yourself. So even though you may be giving me self-serving statements about yourself or deprecating statements about the alleged victim, this is not going to help your case. What's going to help your case is you keeping quiet and letting the prosecutors try to prove the charge against you. Do you understand? Now, Miss Armstrong, does Mr. Middleton live with Miss Van Winkle?
That's my understanding. And again, he pays for that apartment, which is why we ask for no further violent contact.
It's now going to be Miss Van Winkle's job to make sure that there's rent on the place. And Miss Van Winkle and Mr. Middleton married?
I did not, I cannot say with confidence one way or the other at this point.
Okay, Mr. Middleton, are you married with Miss Van Winkle?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Good. On the battery family violence, that's going to be $2,500. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property is going to be $1,000. That's a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial services level 2. Mr. Middleton, you don't have to pay for your bond, but you will have to comply with the following conditions. This is a domestic violence case. So unfortunately, unless Miss Van Winkle is here to let me know about whether she wants contact with you and so forth, I'm going to set forth the following conditions. You are to have no further contact with Brianna Van Winkle. You are to stay 200 yards away from her and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. As you have not legitimated the child that you share with Miss Van Winkle, you will need to file a legitimation action in the appropriate superior court and get a court order to grant you joint visitation and custody with regards to the child that I'm going to refer to in initials, NM. Within 45 days of being released on the signature bond, you will enroll and complete a domestic violence intervention program. This is a 26-week program for domestic violence cases, and you will attend all 26 weekly classes at your expense and without skipping any classes. You will present your certificate of completion to your pretrial officer. Within 30 days, you are also to provide us with a new address because you cannot return to 313 Skipper Place, apartment 3138. Although you may be responsible for the rent, it's really up to you whether you want to continue, since now there's a court order that requires you to stay away from that location. You may return to that location one time only with a police officer to retrieve your personal belongings. But otherwise, you and Miss Van Winkle and the child cannot live together under the same roof until further order of the court. Please keep in mind that if you violate these conditions or if you get arrested again, this signature bond can be revoked and converted to either a cash bond, a surety bond, or no bond. Thank you.
Next is position number 22, Williams.
Thank you. Okay, I've got 2 Williams here. All right. Position 22 is Adoy Williams, case 24 CR 8347G, accused of failure to obey a stop sign and misdemeanor possession of marijuana, December 26, 2024. Mr. Williams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Armstrong. Ms. Mitchell, what would you like to recommend?
Yes, Your Honor, as to count 1, $1,000 signature bond. Count 2, to my understanding, it's already under unsecured judicial release, so I don't know that I need to address that. And nothing further, Your Honor.
On the failure to obey a stop sign, it's $1,000 signature bond through the jail. The misdemeanor marijuana is going to be a 500 signature bond through the jail. That's a 1,500 signature bond through the jail. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and no driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. Mr. Williams, although you received his signature bond through the jail, please note that if you fail to appear in court or if you get arrested again, you run the risk of having the signature bond revoked. Thank you.
Position number 1, the add-on calendar.
Okay. Add-on. Okay. This is State versus Alonzo Wilkinson, and his accusation number is 24 CR 8349G. Mr. Wilkinson is accused of criminal trespass. Incident date appears to be December 27, 2024. Mr. Wilkinson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Armstrong. Any prize, Mr. Howard?
14. Open case, criminal trespass, damage to property, 21 CR 005 228G. Two open cases out of the cab, 1 possession of meth, drug-related objects, trespass, obstruction, interference with government property, 1 probation in Fulton, simple battery. It's 24 CR 007012G. Open trespass. Also on probation for trespass. 24 CR 006986G. That's all.
Thank you. All right, and Ms. Sears, this is regarding the Lindbergh Crossing Apartments. Anything else to add?
Your Honor, the defendant already has $1,000 surety bond on this particular matter. Nothing further from the state except that he stay away from the incident location.
All right. And Ms. Armstrong?
Judge, we just asked for a signature bond in this matter, just given the nature of the accusation. I do have an address to provide to the court off the record to Ms. Champion of his parents' address. It's my understanding they're somewhat estranged. I don't want to mischaracterize it, but that there's a chance that he might be able to live there. So, of course, I will submit that to the court for your consideration. He is homeless and works with the Elizabeth Foundation, which is a nonprofit that does work towards making the lives of people who are homeless better.
Okay. Bond is set at $1,000 surety, and to stay away 200 yards away from the entire complex called the Lindbergh Crossing at Cheshire Bridge Road. Next court date is January 9th.
I have one question.
Yes.
Mr. Gerald McClendon is not on the calendar. Is there any reason why?
Ms. Sears or Ms. Mitchell? Mr. McClendon? Yeah, McClendon. He's on my GCIC report, but he's not on the full sheet.
I haven't received notice, Your Honor, but I do know he has some MH issues going on.
Ms. Armstrong or Ms. Wills, have y'all interviewed a McClendon?
I did interview Mr. McClendon. In my conversation with him, I didn't have concerns about any mental health, but I was able to interview him.
I don't have an accusation for McClendon. Were y'all planning to have him seen on Monday? Ms. Pope?
Wait, McClendon? I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. We did get 3 additional names. I thought I saw that there was a UJR bond, and I think I assumed that he was released. Let me see.
Is there a McClendon in courtroom 2?
Yes, he's present.
What's
He
his
also
name?
has a $1,500 good on the criminal damage to property in the second degree from yesterday.
In the second degree, but that would be a felony.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. If we can hold, if we have him here today, I don't want to push it to Monday. Let me just see if I can have someone get that information for us.
All right. Are there any other cases to be addressed? Otherwise, I'm just going to go down the calendar and wait for Ms. Pope to let me know what's going on.
Well,
Your
we
Honor,
have 2 breakout sessions in the courtroom, Mr. Brown and Mr. Decory Williams.
Mr. Brown and who else?
Decory Williams, position number 23.
Okay. Who represents Mr. Waylon Brown?
I represent Mr. Brown and Miss Armstrong represents Mr. Williams.
And are these waiver cases or breakout?
Mr. Brown indicated he wanted to be present.
Okay.
They're here in the courtroom.
All right. And so, Ms. Champion, if you could place courtroom 2, whoever is prosecuting, is it Miss Sears?
Yes.
All right, Miss Sears and Miss Wills and myself and Miss Bridgewater in a breakout, please.
I'm prosecuting on Brown. I don't know who the other party is.
The last case is going to be
The Corey Williams.
Corey Williams.
Williams, okay.
Miss Mitchell. Yeah. So right now it's just courtroom 2 with.
And Your Honor, I have a waiver on position number 9, Harris.
Okay, then I'll address that later. Thank you.
Ms. Thornton.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you check your message? You see my message in the box, and I just sent you an email about the McClendon case.
Okay, I do see that case that it was never filed down. The SG number is 737.
Hold on 1 second. I saw where you sent the other one. I didn't see where you had sent me this one.
No, I didn't actually do this. This was done in October. Like I said, the SG number is 737-19724.
Right, but this was on that email with those 3 missing cases?
Right.
Okay.
These are the same charges if you can look at the SG number for me. So I don't know what happened this day in court, why it was never filed down.
And what's the defendant's first name?
What's the defendant's first name?
Yeah, McClendon.
Gerell.
Okay.
To me, it looked like it was a duplicate. I don't know, was they trying to send it up to the DA or what?
All right, returning back to the case with Waylon Brown. Mr. Brown, given your current criminal history record, the fact that you've got a hold in Alabama, and the nature of the charges, your bond is presently set at $500 per count. That's a total of $1,500 surety bond. Your next court date will be January 9th, 2025 at 11 a.m. And you are to stay away from all Martyr property. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you. Okay, courtroom 2, do we have only Mr. Williams there now?
Well, actually, we still have Mr.
McClendon.
McClendon. Okay.
Come on.
Then, who is representing Mr. Williams, position 23?
That's me, Judge.
All right. So this is State versus Decory Williams, accused of battery, family violence from November 6, 2024. Mr. Williams, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Sarah Armstrong. With regards to your particular case, it appears that you have 18 arrest cycles. We are going to be
This is
confirming.
first arrest. I got first arrest for Decory.
Okay, sorry. This is his first arrest. I must have written that down wrong. Sorry about that. Okay. With regards to your case, I'm going to be conferring with your attorney and the prosecutor in a confidential setting, and then we will come back and address your case. Ms. Armstrong, no, you stay there. All right. So, Ms. Champion, if you can place me, Ms. Armstrong, and Ms. Mitchell in a breakout session with Ms. Bridgewater. Oh, can we go back to the same breakout? Is that how it works? Oh.
Yes.
So is that not the same charges?
I'm not real sure. I mean, what you sent me, that SG number, I really can't even see where he's in custody now.
Because if you go to the jail screen, they got a UJR on those two cases.
I see that. I was gonna mention that to the judge so I'm not sure if he's being held on this. So I'm just gonna file
I
down the
think he's held
accusation.
on those 2 felony charges,
So why did they put him on here?
on that felony charge.
Okay.
Those are the only 4 charges he have, the criminal trespass and Cruz, what is it? Property damage in the 2nd degree. That's a felony though. So I don't know what they was talking about. That's why I didn't pull that in. That would
Okay.
be a duplicate warrant.
Well, who sent that? Let me call Michael Jordan because I think that's who sent that to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up his information, but from what I recall, it was a disorderly conduct and a criminal trespass from October.
Right, but it looks
Right.
like he already received a unsecured judicial release on those 2 charges.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No. I see that. I mean, and it's uncharged. So I'm gonna file down the accusation, but I'm trying to figure out why he would be on our jail calendar if there's no new
Oh, I see. Okay.
charge.
I think he was placed by mistake. He should have been on felony for the 2 charges that he got arrested for on the 26th.
And it sounds like he's already handled those. Let's see.
All right, courtroom 2. All right, returning back to Corey Williams. Mr. Williams, as I've indicated, your attorney is going to be Ms. Sarah Armstrong. And based on the information that we have obtained, your bond is currently set at $2,500. It is a surety bond. And the requirements are no contact with Renita Williams. Stay away from the incident location. Within 30 days of being released, you must update the court with your new mailing address. You can return to the incident location 1 time only for you to retrieve your personal belongings, and that visit must be with a police officer. After that, you have to update the court with a different alternative mailing address since you cannot live with Ms. Renita. Within 30 days of being released, you're also to undergo a MH evaluation and submit yourself to any treatment that's required. And you must be medically and medication compliant. Your next court date is going to be January 9th at 11 a.m. Thank you. All right. We have a waiver for Stephen Harris, position number 9. Mr. Harris's case number is 24CR8343G, accused of public indecency from December 15, 2022. Miss, understand he's got 16 arrest cycles. This appears to be an incident that's been pending for some time. I don't know if it occurred at the jail. Ms. Sears, what's your recommendation for bond?
A $2,000 sign-on bond and level 2 pretrial. No drugs, weapons, or alcohol while on bond. I think he has some other matters that might hold him in custody. But the incident date for the allegation that was actually accused is December 13th of 2024.
Was it 2024?
Yes, there's a range on the warrant. And the end date for that range is December 26th of 2024. But it is actually accused for the December 13th, 2024 date.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Miss Miss Armstrong, you represent him?
Yes, Judge.
All right. I'm about to issue a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, and no inappropriate conduct while at Fulton County Jail, and no violent contact with law enforcement. Anything to add?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right. This is going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail with these conditions, and his next court date will be January 9th at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
Miss Pope, any update? Oh, she's not with us.
I'm here. I'm still trying to figure it out. It appears that on the booking number that was listed, that Mr. McClendon already received a UJR at some point. So it lists UJR. I don't know that he's being held. I mean, I'm going to file down the accusations, but I'm trying to determine if he's actually being held on these misdemeanor charges.
May I have that booking number, please?
Sure. It is 2422280.
I'm sorry, I don't have any information about him other than he's got a criminal damage to property under case number 24 PI 009425, and he's got a $1,500 surety bond for that case. And he's got 2 misdemeanor charges, criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. And he's been given a unsecured judicial release pursuant to the electronic warrant judge. So, but he's only got the MAGC case number because the state has not accused these 2 misdemeanor charges.
I'm going to accuse him right now. I'm just trying to ensure that he's not being held on these charges.
No, he's not being held on the misdemeanor charges.
Okay.
So Deputy in Courtroom 2, if Mr. McClendon wants to come to the chair, we'll be glad to update him about his current case. So this is, well, lots of names over here. I've got Jabron McClendon.
We have Gerald McClendon. I'm not sure if that.
Gerald McClendon. Okay, I've got a lot of AKAs for this, but his date of birth appears to be June 21st, 1985. And Mr. McClendon, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. And presently, Ms. Wills is your court-appointed counsel. You have an open felony case, 24 PI 009425, and you have a bond for $1,500, and that's the surety bond. Ms. Wills, I don't know if your client has already gone through felony first appearance at 11 o'clock today.
He went yesterday.
He went yesterday? Okay, so he's already got a bond in that case. You also have, and that's in Superior Court of Fulton County. You also have 2 misdemeanor charges for criminal trespass and disorderly conduct in the state court of Fulton County. So that means you have another new open case, and the prosecution, that is the Solicitor General of Fulton County, is going to create an accusation number. In other words, you're going to have a new case for criminal trespass and disorderly conduct. And presently, you have a complete release bond. In other words, an unsecured judicial release bond. So you can literally just sign out your bond and you will be released on the state court charges. However, you cannot be released until you make bond in your Superior Court felony case. Do you understand, sir? Please unmute Courtroom 2.
Yes, ma'am. I do understand, but I was going to ask you, is there any way, I'm not working right now and I'm homeless, so can I have a signature bond until the next court date? Because I don't have a job right now and I'm not working.
In the state court of Fulton County for your misdemeanor charges, you have a release bond, but I have no power to give you a release bond on the felony charge. That is something that should have been addressed yesterday in Superior Court. All right. So, Mr. Pope, you can go ahead and file the accusation. And Ms. Champion and Ms. Bridgewater, once you receive his accusation number, we'll reset this case to January 9th. And that's the only thing I can do right now. Okay. All right. Courtroom 2, did you have any other cases to address?
No, we're done.
All right. So for the attorneys, position number 1, Waylon Brown, that's a $1,500 surety bond, reset January 9th at 11 a.m. For the add-on case, Wilkinson, that's a $1,000 surety bond and reset date is January 9th. For position 2 on our regular calendar, Niam Burley, that's a $5,000 surety bond, reset date January 9th. Position 3, Bynum, is a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2 with a DVIP requirement for the notice. Position 4, Cochran, is a $500 surety bond, reset January 9th. Position 5, Kofer, is a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. I don't know whether he's got any holds, so I'm just going to leave it as is. Ms. Wills, did you need a January 9th date for that?
More than likely for Mr. Kofer, yes.
So is he being held on the felony case? Okay, let's put it as
that I'm not sure of, I'm sorry.
All right, Ms. Bridgewater, I'm just going to reset Kofer to January 9th. He may be released. I don't know whether he's got a hold on the felony case. Position 6, Edward Dennis, that's a $1,500 split bond, reset date January 9th. Position 7, Gerell, is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. Position 8, Harden, is a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 1. Position 9, Harris, is a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Reset date is January 9th. Rashad Hill is a $1,000 surety bond, reset January 9th. Levin Jackson is a $5,000 surety bond, reset January 9th. 12, Johnson is a $6,000 surety bond, reset January 9th. 13 and 14, that's Miss Kitty. On the trespass is 500. On the theft by shoplifting is 500. That's a total 1,000 surety bond. Reset date January 9th, and she's only to be released to one of her 2 holds. Position 15, Leonard, is a $3,000 surety bond with a release to his Florida hold. 16, Middleton, is a 3,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 2. Position 17, Milton, is a 1,000 signature bond through the jail with a release to the Henry County hold. Position 18, so the $8,000 split bond with a release, reset to January 9th. 19, Phillips, is a $500 surety bond, reset to January 9th. 20, Tarver, is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial for the notice. 21, Usher, is a 2,500 signature bond through pretrial, level 1 for the notice. 22, Adoy Williams, is a $1,500 signature bond through the jail. 23, Dakota Williams, is a 2,500 surety bond, reset date to January 9th at 11 a.m. And McClendon, pending his accusation, that will be reset to January 9th, although he's got a UJR on the misdemeanor charges. Any questions, changes? Ms. Brooke?
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, everyone. Hope you all had a great Christmas, and I will see some of you next week. But till then, Happy New Year.
Happy
Same to
Happy
you.
New
Thank
Year.
you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.